Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Thank you very much for your tweets. Ali Moreno with us here in the studio. Marcotti's with us. Frank, how is your voice? It was going during the show. Are you struggling? Was this from shouting at PSG?
No. I've got a tracheitis. It's what you say in English, I think. And my main concern is tomorrow evening I'm going to be on stage. So I really have to be careful. So I took some stuff, right? You see it's getting better now. So it's okay.
It's all right. I won't ask you too many questions, Frank. Okay. Tell us exactly what happened during the World Cup final, Frank. Just talk us through the day from the moment you woke up.
How long do you have?
No, Stevie. I know a lot of people wanted to see Stevie today after his rant yesterday that PSG weren't going to win because they were going to bottle it somehow. I tried to argue that maybe they wouldn't. I was completely wrong. Stevie was completely right. And Fear Not, he has phoned me to make sure that I know that was exactly the right answer. He's loving it, by the way.
He's just having a good time.
He's having a very good time. He's in New York. Imagine Stevie in New York on his own.
By himself.
Oh, my God. Right. Why is it that very talented teams with a lesser European history, PSG, Manchester City, can't get over the Champions League hump, but teams like Real Madrid and Liverpool are able to? Is it all mental?
Well, it's part of it.
Yes.
You cannot deny that history, when you walk into a club, like Real Madrid or Liverpool, and in the case of Real Madrid in particular, because it's important today, you walk into the club and you see the trophies, and you see the expectation, and you see history around you, and you know what the conversation is all about. Every time that you walk into the training facility, it generates a level of performance that is demanded from you as a player to be able to match that history. Manchester City or PSG, they're trying to find that history. They're trying to match that level of expectation. We expect them to do really well because of all the money that they invested in the players that they have available and the coaches and this and that and the other. But they do not yet have the history of success, certainly not in Champions League.
What do you think, Frank?
I totally agree, and don't forget that all of Champions League team or big teams who've been for the first time in a Champions League final lost their first final. So there is a mojo, in fact, who comes up, with the history of the club. And
I suppose, Frank, people would point to your old side Chelsea. Not exactly a big European history there. They win the Champions League. Yeah. They had a big injection of money.
Yeah, but they lost their first one. They lost their first Champions League final against Manchester United, I think, on penalties. But the second one, they won it, and they got another one last season. So you grow up like that, and you get used to it. And as you say, as soon as you sign for the club as a player, and I think it's for Real Madrid, the first time you come to Real Madrid, they show you all the trophies to really understand where you put your feet on. That's what it is. And I think for big clubs like that, like Bayern Munich, like Liverpool, like Chelsea, like, of course, Real Madrid, Barcelona, they show you that. And that's what lacks maybe in Manchester City and Paris Saint-Germain because of the history of those clubs.
Just as important, the history of success that we're talking about for Real Madrid, there's also a history of failure for PSG. Yeah. So it is just as important the fact that if you're Real Madrid, you know how to win the competition because you've been there before. If you're PSG, you know how to lose the competition because you've been there before. And that is difficult to get rid of.
To Gab, how great is Ancelotti? Here we go. It's Gab's favourite subject.
Go on.
Look, he's only human. He has his failings. But I think what's pretty evident is he's an exceptional manager. You speak to just about every single player who's ever played for him, and they will tell you that. And he certainly has tons of experience at big clubs, at difficult clubs, with demanding owners. And I think he's also shown that, when it comes to tactical setups, he can beat you in many, many different ways. Earlier this year, they were sometimes in Spain, they were criticizing him, too much counterattack, too much give the ball to Vinicius and use his pace and Benzema and whatever. So then what does he do? Certain games he whips out the press and they play a high line. And he can beat you that way because he's done it before. He's been around a long time. This is a guy who was a child of Arrigo Sacchi, pressing all over the pitch. Bielsa before Bielsa. He was a guy who believed in rigid systems and formations to the point that, he didn't want Roberto Baggio in his team because, he was a superstar that didn't fit the scheme. And then when he had Zola, he made Zola play as a winger, and then because Zola didn't track back enough, he got rid of him. This is Ancelotti's history, and he himself says that he's moved on from that. And now I think there's few managers who see the game in its entirety, in its complexity, 360 degrees, the way he does. And I think that's what makes him a very, very good manager. Is he the best in the world? Maybe not, but in those games, he knows what he's doing.
I know there's lots of other questions, Eric, that you want, but Gab's taking everyone's time. So we'll move on to the next one.
Sorry.
Which was inevitable.
I was inevitable. That was the question
you
for
did
me.
ask me about Ancelotti. Of course I'm going to talk.
No, exactly. Know your audience, Eric. Is Messi still favourite to win Ballon d'Or this year despite this loss?
What?
Do you know what really... I know Twitter's not real, and I know YouTube comments aren't real, but I don't get this from some fans who are absolutely reveling in the fact that Messi isn't as good as he used to be.
Right.
As if it's some sort of evidence that they were right all along, that, Cristiano Ronaldo was better, or Messi was overrated, or he just took penalties, or he just did that, or just was in a good Barcelona side. I don't get how you can be a fan of this sport and want to put one of the greatest players that's ever played it down. I don't know what you gain from it. It's very, very strange.
And I will go as far as to say it's actually painful to see these players now regress to normal and to see them becoming human, to see Cristiano Ronaldo getting injured, to see Lionel Messi having to drop back and be more of a possession sort of guy as he was. As great as he was today for 60 minutes and actually being a possession sort of guy, that is not what we expect from Lionel Messi. So in some ways, what we're seeing is it is becoming indeed the end of a chapter.
But it was always going to happen.
It was going to happen, but people, see, you're hoping that people out there are reasonable.
No, and obviously it's the minority, but I just don't. I don't get it. How can you be a football fan and not enjoy watching Messi or Ronaldo? Go on, Frank.
I think people don't want to hear that. They so much put those players on pedestal that they don't want to hear other people saying that they're regressing, as Ali said. I talked about Ronaldo last week, saying that you sometimes have to think about retirement. It's part of your career to retire the right time, like you're gonna put people's gonna regret you instead of have pity for you. And I said that, and I've been insulted by fans of Ronaldo because they were saying, and some stupid media titled that, said I was killing Ronaldo, where I just said that I'm an admirer of Ronaldo and I just want him to stop at the right time because I want him to stay up there where I think he believes he deserves to be, not there like a normal player. That's the only thing I said. And it's the same for Messi. It's going to be the same for Neymar or for Mbappe. You have to know where to stop because you've been exceptional and you have to stay there.
Go on, Gab.
A very wise football person once told me that with these great players, when they get older, it's a little bit like when Hollywood divas get older. Some people can only kind of be the sexy bombshell diva, and then beyond a certain age, they're done. Others can age gracefully as they get older, play different roles, project themselves differently, and still be superstars. And and I think that's a transition that all these great players go through. I think of Zlatan Ibrahimovic. I was just reading his book about how he sees himself now in the team and what he does for the team, and it's different to what he did 5 years ago or 10 years ago, because it has to be different. because his body is older, but his mind is still there, the technical ability is still there. And so you ask yourself, how can I help the team? How can I still be a difference maker? And I think both Messi and Ronaldo can still be difference makers for several seasons if they're in the right team, if they're willing to put the team first in a different way than the way they did before. But it's not easy to do, and not everybody can do it. Doesn't make them any less of the superstars they are now. But if you want to keep playing, beyond a certain age, I think that's what you need to do.
Frank, do you think Pochettino should have subbed off either Messi or Neymar for the second half and brought on a player who would actually help out in defence?
It's funny because it was a question during the game from a French commentator, and the guy was saying, do you think Pochettino will have the guts of putting one of the three out? He didn't. I think he should have, because, well, he puts a midfield player out and put Di Maria, who got injured like 5 minutes after, and then they play at 10 the last 5 minutes of the game. And he put Draxler in, and in fact doesn't want to touch the three players. And it's what we were talking about, those megastars, where you cannot handle anything with them because you cannot say anything to them. And Pochettino is not legitimate to say something to either Neymar or Messi. He was only the coach of Tottenham or Spurs, and it's not enough to say something to those players.
Do you think Mbappe signed his Real Madrid contract before or after he hit the showers?
Well, it's a perfect day for Real Madrid fan, right? Because you go, you win, you come back, you make you make the sort of comeback that you have made late in the game, last 30 minutes of the match. But you also got to see what Kylian Mbappe can be for you over the two legs.
Yeah.
You also got to see firsthand, like, good Lord, this guy's going to play for us.
That goal that he scored that got chalked off for the offside.
Yeah, the one that was offside, little step over, and Thibaut Courtois just kind of flew by.
And Carvajal rugby tackling him pretty much off.
I have a question, Ali. Ali, if you put Mbappe with Real Madrid alongside Benzema, where do you put Vinicius Junior? Because I think they play almost the same position, and Mbappe is going to play on the left side.
Vinicius Junior will have to go to the right.
Right.
The one that's moving is Vinicius. Benzema's not going anywhere, and Mbappe will take the left-hand side. And I have to imagine that Vinicius Junior would love the opportunity to get used to the right-hand side. I mean, playing that front three would be something special. You would have to imagine that Vinicius Junior will have to be the flexible one. Everybody else, we know where they're going.
Ali, has Messi been the worst signing of the season? He has the highest wage, the performance is very mediocre, and he missed a penalty in the first leg, which in hindsight cost PSG elimination from the Champions League.
I think he touched the ball more than 7 times in this game, so I'm going to say Lukaku probably takes that.
Right.
Still. I'm going to go...
But Chelsea won the Club World Cup because of Lukaku.
Well, now
what's Messi won in PSG?
Now that you've made that argument, then of course. We have to be very careful that with Lionel Messi, we go in the direction of this is the worst, because actually there were moments today in the game in which he looked so comfortable on the ball, and in the moments of pressure, he was able to keep possession. When Real Madrid were initially pressuring PSG, he was the outlet, and he was the one that actually completing passes and looked so good, dropping deep to find the ball and being that natural outlet that PSG needed. And then he disappeared.
Sure.
And you saw the difference.
Maybe the worst signing is maybe Wijnaldum, because the guy was so important for Liverpool last season and signed for Paris Saint-Germain and completely disappeared. And Gab was mentioning during the show that he touched the ball first half 9 times, being in the middle of the park. I don't recognize the player that I saw playing so well for the Netherlands and playing so well for Liverpool. I don't know what happened to that guy. That's a real question mark. That's for me the worst signing because it completely disappeared.
Final question. Maybe you guys would be better at Champions League predictions if you ate more shepherd's pie. Although, we have to tip our hat to Gab, who not only said Real Madrid would advance, but he said it would be 3-1 on the night. So, Gab, you don't need shepherd's pie for that.
Well done.
No, and that was forensic and scientific analysis that led me to it, Dan.
There you go.
Let me assure you.
Sure.
I think you said. I think
Sure.
you said I don't really have a big feeling about this, but I reckon this is what might happen. That's it, guys. Thank you very much, Frank. Rest your voice.
Oh, please.
Oh, Mrs. Leboeuf is going to be the happiest woman in the world.
What a
24 hours of quiet and peace, and no Frank blabbering.
She's going to be
on.
dancing.
Yeah,
She's going to be dancing, yeah.
If that's what you call dancing, Frank, we'll keep it at that. Just a reminder then, ESPN FC back on your screens tomorrow. Europa League.
Hey!
Tomorrow, Barcelona in action, as well as a number of other big clubs in Europe. Be sure to join us. Are you with me? Sorry?
I don't think so.
Oh, it'd be Stevie. Thank you very much for watching ESPN FC on YouTube. For more highlights, analysis, and exclusive content, be sure to subscribe.